7.3 billion people, only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen? Along with your own personal soul adventure, Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Marc's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live. For more information on Marc's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marclainhart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.
Doing this for 2 years now. I really enjoy coming on Monday mornings to just inspire you, encourage you, motivate you, maybe get you thinking outside the box. So this morning we're going to, with a beautiful sun, it's July. I know there's a lot going on in the world, you guys.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in this beautiful planet of ours. This is Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector, coming to you live from my outdoor patio. I'm in my backyard here in Seattle, Washington. Thought I'd get outside the studio today. Good morning to all of you. I'm going to turn the comment section off so we can get right into today's message. Can give you, and let me know if the sound quality is okay. I do have a microphone with a windsock over it. Excuse me. So it shouldn't be too windy out here. It's actually really nice. It's going to be in the high 90s here in Seattle, which is a very hot day for us. So figured I'd come out and do an outdoor video. Maybe I'll do the next few weeks outdoors on the patio. Geez, excuse me. So welcome to Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. I got my Yoda mug this morning here. Yoda, the wise one. Welcome to today's show. I'm your host, Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector. You can find me every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. And I'm trying to figure out why my voice is not working. I haven't even gotten to the Healing Cafe yet, where usually I do my readings there. But this morning I wanted to talk about when does your spiritual strength and your spiritual knowledge kick in. So we're going to be talking about that. I'm going to give you some reasons why you should practice an attitude for gratitude and why that's important. But if you're new to the page, welcome. Thanks for joining us this morning. This is a inspirational show for encouragement, motivation, thinking outside the box to get you on the week ahead, get you started out right. I always like to say spiritual prospecting for your own spiritual gold. And I've been doing the show now for about 3 seasons. So, if you are having a rough go in life, which I know a lot of you out there are, there's a lot going on in the world, with not just with COVID, but, what we see with politics, what we see with civil unrest, what we see for, the right to protest and Black Lives Do Matter, you guys. But we're going to talk about spiritual growth today because this is what came up in my meditation. And when does it happen? It doesn't happen when you're sitting on a yoga mat or on a meditation mat like I did this morning. It happens when you're in a place of crisis. It happens when you're in a place of depression, anxiety, fear. And I thought in today's world with everything going on and the fear-based energy, I thought it would be a good day, a good show to really focus in on an attitude for gratitude, always choosing love over fear and knowing that the spiritual growth is going to happen through all of this. So grab your coffee, grab your tea. Let's move into what I like to say is the magic of the moment. I don't have my little my bell, so I'm going to use my iTunes this morning to give us that little, just take a nice deep breath with me. Magic in the moment. So, how's everybody hanging in there? How you guys doing? I've been doing a lot of readings lately, and my readings have been really, I've worked with a lot with people for encouragement and life coaching and how to start living again after great, traumas or tragedies or even maybe a near-death experience. A lot of what I do and what I'm writing currently, what I'm writing my book on about traumas and tragedies and how that TNT can blow your life up, or what I like to say, the shaking that causes the awakening. So, that for me during those troubling times, during those rough, dark times, that's actually when I saw my soul, I saw my spirituality progress in amazing ways. I really started to be introduced to the world of spiritualism, the world of mediumship, how that looked, how that felt, and that was hard for me, just, coming from a background and a career of, being in the Coast Guard and the fire service for many, many years, and having to reboot my brain, I guess, reboot my belief systems. That was tough for me to do, to be honest with you. But I look back at it now during those dark years of, growth and transformation. That was also a big part of my spiritual development, and when my spiritual strengths, if you will, my spiritual knowledge kicked in. And that's what we're talking today. We're talking today about spiritual growth. When does it happen? You'll find in the journey of life, and I always remind people that life is an acronym. Learn it from experience. And while you're here, fail. Fail often, fail big. I remind people that for me, failure is first attempt in learning. And that's why we're all here. And the spiritual growth, when does it happen? It usually happens when you're in those places of what I just described as my own path. And a lot of the work that I do today is based on sharing my own experiences and my own memories and my own soul adventures, if you will, with other people. I can't, when people come and have a reading with me, and I've done thousands of readings now with people all around the world. I remind them that I can't make them hear the message that I'm giving them. All I can do is plant seeds, and your free will and your choice will take you to the next step. That will open you up to opportunities, new ways of learning, new belief systems. And I guess that was another, as I look as a squirrel, I guess that's going to be your totem animal spirit for this show, is the squirrel. So somebody have to look it up because I don't have my book reference. I'm kind of limited today. But the totem animal squirrel is going to be the squirrel because the squirrel just went by I got some wires over here, and the squirrel went running by and got my attention. But what I was going to say was the belief system is really difficult to get over, especially if you were raised in several years of a concept with religious. Depending on how you're raised and where you're born in the world, that's a lot of what religion is based on, believe it or not. And I'm just turning my volume up here. Make sure we get the volume up here. Okay, I think the volume's good. If somebody could just let me know that the volume is good, I'll turn the comments back on. Good morning, good morning. Looks like the sound is okay. But what I was saying is the belief system is one of the biggest ones for me to get over, because I was raised Catholic, as a confirmed adult in Catholicism, and I was always taught that heaven was up and hell was down, and if you weren't good enough to get into either one, you stayed here in this thing we call purgatory. And that was how I was raised. I was born in Spokane, Washington, on the east side of Washington State, which is a very conservative side of the state, very conservative way of thinking, and it's a great town. It's a beautiful town. It's nestled right there at the base of a mountain and by a river, Spokane River. But I never felt like I aligned to that area. I never felt like I aligned to those beliefs that were instilled upon me. And especially after my brothers died, after my brother was murdered at the age of 21, and 3 days later my older brother was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. That's really where my spiritual growth, if you will, even though it sucked at the time, that's where my spiritual growth really started to take off, and I really started to look at other religions. I started to look at world religions, because I found that no matter where you're at in the world, your religion is always going to be based on that culture of where you're at, but you realize that it's really one record, and there's just different songs on this one record, and it's a round record, a round planet, right? And if you just play the different song, different lyrics, different meaning, but at the same time, I found that most religions tell the same story of, the golden rule: love, healing, forgiveness, transformations, but mostly love. And so today, with everything going on, I wanted to talk about choosing love over fear. There's a lot of fear-based energy, and for me, fear is false evidence appearing real. And what I mean by that is everything. We're very powerful creatures. We're very intelligent. We're very intuitive. We're very imaginative. We're very creative. But at the same time, we can also self-sabotage ourselves in great detail with our mind. And when there's real fear, your body will do three things in the real world of fear with your nervous system. That's fight, flight, or freeze. So you're going to do one of those three things. If you're out on a hike and a grizzly bear comes out and is going to charge you, you're going to have one of those three fears. You're going to either fight him, flight from him, or freeze right where you're at. But if I'm out on a hike enjoying nature and I'm in the magic of the moment, but my mind is constantly thinking about when the bear is going to come out around that next corner, for me, that's false evidence appearing real. I'm creating that, and we've got a lot of that in today's society and in today's world. And I've really been just observing a lot of people, situations, what's going on here in Seattle, what's going on with the federal policing, the protesting / rioting. And I've been observing people's behaviors, and I just want to remind everybody what I talked about at the very beginning of this year when I did my psychic predictions. I predicted a lot of what's happening right now. I talked about the COVID. I also talked about the great coming together, and this is a big time for spiritual growth, believe it or not. This is a lesson for all of us. When does it happen? It's happening right now. Whether you're caught up in politics or choosing a certain leader or a certain political faction, or if you're caught up in a religious debate, your religion's right and the other person's is wrong, you're finding that there's just a lot of opinions out there. You're finding that, we're in COVID because really Mother Earth said, humans need to shape up or ship out. This virus was presented to us, however it got here, that's for a different debate. If it was intentional, if it was accidental. I've always been, I've done 25 years now of being in healthcare, certified healthcare provider, basic life support instructor, and I've always taught on planning and prevention. But somehow we're here without planning and prevention, and a lot of people are moving into the spirit world. I don't know what the count is today. Last count, I think it was 147,000 Americans here in the United States, and over 500,000, 600,000 around the globe with this pandemic. And this is a time for spiritual growth. When is it happening? It's happening right now, because we can't control, even though we want to, we can't change what Mother Earth has given us. But at the same time, I've talked about the great coming together. I've talked about this virus, and that this virus is going to educate us and teach us spiritual growth about taking care of the place that we live, to be in a place of eco versus a place of ego, being in a place of community versus being a place of rich versus poor, elite versus middle class versus poor, and getting away from those ideologies. I talked about at the beginning of this year, my psychic predictions were also based on the words of sustainability, self-mastery, homeostasis. Homeostasis is a middle road, a balance between the nervous system of fight or flight, constantly being in a state of fight or flight. Sustainability for what we're going through as a species, what we're going through on this planet, but also sustainability for mental health, sustainability for spiritual growth, but also talking about self-mastery, because you're seeing some people that are not going to self-master through this. They're actually going to devolve or implode, and I'm seeing a lot of that around. And so what I've been telling, my development group, my tribe that I work with, is to stay the course. This too shall pass, because in the end it will be the great coming together. And this morning I chose to sit outside because this is a reminder of the butterfly. We have these butterflies mounted on our wall out on our patio, and it's a good reminder that the caterpillar does not get to the butterfly without a season of isolation, without the cocoon phase, without a great struggle within the cocoon phase to develop its wings so that it can take flight. And a lot of what we're seeing in today's society is preparing us. Some of you are just waking up, being pulled out of the matrix. Some of us have been awake for many years and have talked about the Great Awakening, the Great Coming Together, Ascension, the Age of Aquarius. Today is the 26th, I believe. Let me check my note. Today is the 27th. So even yesterday we opened up the Lion's Gate. So if you follow astrology and you follow energy or metaphysics like I do, you'll know that the Lion's Gate just opened up yesterday, which is going to be a huge download of consciousness. What's coming in the months ahead is going to be very difficult, just so you know. But I'm not a fear and doom, a doom and gloom or a fear-based type of teacher. I teach on that this is a spiritual time of growth. This is a spiritual time for transformation. And again, spiritual growth never comes when you're sitting on the yoga mat. You may get an idea or a creative idea, or when you're sitting on a meditation mat. Spiritual growth happens during the times of great chaos, fear, violence, uncertainty. What does the future hold? And that is going to be part of the lesson. And again, the lesson repeats until it completes, and what we resist always will persist when you think about energy. But at the same time, we have a lot of opinions out there, and we've got to get people to conform or come together to start having an opinion that makes sense, that's morally based, that's the golden rule, the moral compass, if you will. And it just seems that right now that we're out of balance with what we're doing. Social media drives that. The news cycle drives that. So pay attention to what you're taking in. It's a reminder that opinion, just our opinions. Everybody has an opinion. I always say opinions are like eyebrows and elbows, and almost everybody has them. But at the end of the day, it's trusting your intuition to feel what's right for you in your journey. Take religion out of it. Take politics out of it. And just go to the root essence of who you are. Does that align with who you are? Morally, ethically, as a human, doing right versus wrong. Knowing that we all make mistakes, we all learn from our mistakes, hopefully, or the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. That's where spiritual growth also kicks in, because it's time for you to change on what you're doing if it's not working. If that new, people say, I hope I go back to normal. I hate to say it, guys, we're not going back to a new normal, the old normal. We're going to a new normal because the old normal wasn't working. That's why we're in this new paradigm shift that we find ourselves in. And for me, I've always said that opinion is really the lowest form of human knowledge. It doesn't require any accountability. It requires no understanding. I find that in spiritual transformations, in true spiritual growth, the highest form of knowledge is empathy. It allows us and it requires us to suspend our egos and actually live in another person's world. And that's what's going on with Black Lives Matter. I just had an excellent conversation with my niece last night. We talked about that. Right now, Black Lives Matter. People try to politicize and say, well, all lives matter. We know that. We know that all lives matter. All life matters, not just humans, but all life matters on the planet. But at this time, we need to stand up. Us white people of white privilege, that have had systems of old, have to stand up for people of color, people that are black, brown, yellow, different than the shade of white. and that's just the truth of it. And somebody helped educate me. There's a lot of things I've been being educated on during this great transformation that we're going through. I've been educated on going back to the Constitution, civil debates, civil rights, equality, learning from history. And I'm a big student of history, and that's part of my own spiritual transformations and my own spiritual growth during these difficult times. But I've also learned that somebody educated me on this fact that where I'm at today is based on the choices and the opportunities my ancestors had before me and their ancestors had before them. That's where I turn out where I'm at today. Now, there's free will and choice that always applies, but at the same time, if you're a person of color, you come from the black community, their ancestors did not have the same choices. Their ancestors before them did not have the same outlets, the same pathways, the same opportunities, and sometimes not even the choices to make those. So it does have a long-term outcome. And the reason I'm saying that is, I was thinking of John Lewis, who 60 years ago, the great civil rights icon who just passed away from pancreatic cancer. I was thinking about where he was as a young man, joining Dr. King on the bridge in Selma in Alabama to walk across it and to stand up to 150 police officers who they were their right to protest, First Amendment, and he had his skull bashed in, and he almost died. And then you jump to where we're at today. Yes, we've progressed, but we haven't progressed to where we need to go. And to have him go across the bridge one last time in a coffin draped in a flag, to honor people such as John Lewis, who stood up. And again, I always remind people, you can stand up for what you believe, but you can also be kind, caring, and compassionate. And I kind of go back to the Alexander Hamilton. If you stand for nothing, what do you fall for? Right? That's a song in Hamilton, and I believe that there's a lot of truth in that, especially with what we're seeing today. Morally, right versus wrong. This isn't even about politics for me anymore. This is literally standing up to what is right versus wrong, treating others as we like to be treated. Eleanor Roosevelt talked about, in the end, we are one world, and that which injures any one of us injures all of us. And that's just a reminder for today's show to encourage you, to inspire you to treat others as you like to be treated, to honor the golden rule, the golden circle, pay it forward, treat people with respect and dignity. I come on social media and I get attacked a lot for what I believe in, but I always try to have perspective of what I'm doing. I try to always come from a place of love in what I'm doing, kindness and compassion for others. But it's just amazing how people want to tear you down or attack you. Even when you are promoting love and you're promoting kindness and you're promoting positivity and encouragement, it's been part of my own spiritual growth. And so I thought I'd come on today and just talk about, spiritual growth is, it makes you during the time of when you're in a place of fear or chaos or uncertainty. That is where your spiritual growth really takes hold. And so I wanted to come on today's show and remind you of that. We'll get ready for the Healing Cafe here in a few minutes. That Healing Cafe follows Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. That starts usually around 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, where I'll come and have live readings, Q&A, spiritual chats. We'll see what it is, like a spiritual box of chocolates. I never know what we're going to get in the Spiritual Cafe. We had some great readings last week. But it's also my way of giving back. It's part of my contribution to paying it forward, to help inspire and educate in what this spiritual world is, spiritual chats. And just, help people up. That's what life is all about, right? Tony Robbins reminds us of that. In life, you either need inspiration or desperation. If you came here looking for desperation, you're in the wrong page, you're in the wrong channel. I'm not the right person for you. If you came here for inspiration, then welcome to Metaphysical Mocha Mondays, where we enjoy coffee, tea, a protein shake, whatever your desire is. If you guys make sure to subscribe to the page, like the page. If you like what you're hearing, get on my YouTube channel, which is growing really rapidly. I was quite surprised how many people joined my YouTube channel. But you can also find me through Alexa. Just ask to open up Positive Living, where you get daily tips from me. I'm recording new tips, by the way. You can find me on Inspired Living Radio, which is my podcast show. We've been on the air for 5 seasons. Got some amazing guests coming up, including an up-and-coming medium who is doing some really great work. A nice guy. So we have some shows planned out through September and October already, which is crazy. You can find me at marclainhart.com or just internet search the Intuitive Prospector, and you'll see the professional directories I'm associated with. But if you want to book a reading with me for a future date, or get on my Instagram channel or my YouTube channel, because I do shows called Spiritual Takeout over there, and I'll be doing some shows on free readings using my putting game, my golf game, to see if you guys can win a free reading with me. For those that do share out, just a reminder, I do track that. Anybody that subscribes, shares, comments on the page, you're entered into a drawing at the end of the month, and I pick one person that I reach out to you privately and give you 15, 20 minute, 30 minute reading depending on what we are prospecting for. So today's message is spiritual growth. When does it happen? It happens when you're usually in the thick of things. I go back to Joseph Campbell when he talks about we must be willing to let go of the life we planned so that as to have the life that is waiting for us. 7 reasons why you should practice gratitude and to help you with spiritual growth during these times of great difficulties. It makes you happier first and foremost. When you wake up and you can find what you're grateful for, that's very powerful stuff, guys. So one, it makes you happier. Studies show that, when you're writing down what you're grateful for, I use the Grateful 8 things that I'm thankful for, from my eyelids to my elbows, to my watch, to my house, to these butterflies, to a cup of coffee. There's many things that you can be thankful for, but what it does is it does boost your overall happiness, and who doesn't want to be happier during these times? So that's one of the things that you can do when you're going through spiritual growth. And again, spiritual growth usually happens not when you're on a yoga mat, or when you're sitting in a meditation modality. It happens usually in life based on what you're going through. I find that when you have an attitude for gratitude and you're in these dark times, the dark night of the soul, as I like to talk about, knowing that this too shall pass and the light always breaks the dawn, it reduces your inner fears, right? And I said fear is false evidence appearing real. But what it does is when you move into a place of gratefulness and love, it takes away hate, it takes away fear, and it usually is thinking about other things. Fear, I find, is usually thinking about other things that are out of our control, kind of like what's going on in America, right? This is kind of out of our control. We can only control what we can respond to and our thoughts of what we put forward. Your focus does determine your reality in metaphysics, guys, for real. I find that when you move into expressing gratitude, it's reciprocal. That energy comes back to you, whether it's a friend or a family member or a fur baby. And I'm always, practicing pay it forward. Help your neighbors out. Help your family out. Help your friends out. Pay it forward. Treat others as you like to be treated. And whether you're expecting a return, you don't have to, but it is putting positivity out into the universe. And I find that when you have an attitude for gratitude, it's reciprocal. I also find, too, that it strengthens your positive emotions. It is telling you that, it reduces that feeling that I'm not enough. You are enough. And, when we move into that positivity, this gives us the ability to rewire our brains, to rewire our thoughts, and to strengthen and reduce those negative emotions, if you will. So these are just some tips. It makes you more optimistic. The glass is half full versus pessimistic. The glass is half empty. I remember serving with a guy in the Coast Guard who said, shoot, Mark, I never even got a glass to measure. So I find that when you have an attitude for gratitude, it does make you more optimistic, and it increases your self-esteem on who you are. I find that when people come from a place of gratitude, it not only strengthens their spiritual growth, but it strengthens their relationships and everything that they do, because that vibration is going out. I find that, when you move into that place of, an attitude for gratitude, it improves your sleep, it reduces stress. There's a lot of positivities to all of that. So I just wanted to come on today and just remind you, that, times are tough right now. I'm a realist. I'm not a doom and gloom kind of psychic. I'm a realist, kind of like what Dr. Fauci was saying when, he was labeled as a fear monger, and he said, I'm not a fear monger, I'm a realist. And what's coming for us, guys, is some very tough days, some dark days ahead. Dark days for civility towards other, dark times and days ahead for political rhetoric that we're going to see a whole bunch of, and what people support, what people stand up for, and what people stand against. That's going to be as we move into a national election. This is where we're going to be at for the next few months. But at the same time, I'm also going to go back to what I said about the great coming together, self-mastery, sustainability, and homeostasis. I see that for our world. Numerology tells us that this year was called the dedicated worker and the master builder, and we know in order to be a master builder, you have to tear down things of old ways of thought, institutions, pathways, systemic racism as a whole. We have to tear that down so we can start moving into a place of building anew, and that's what protesting is all about. That's what the First Amendment right under the U.S. Constitution allows you to do. You can protest, do it peacefully, don't bring about violence. But protesting is what is already bringing about change, and we're seeing it on so many levels. But there's more fights and more changes to come, is what I'm trying to say as a realist. So I'm going to move into the Healing Cafe. I'm going to read a poem about the apocalypse. What the poem of what revelation it is, what it actually means in the apocalypse, because I do feel that in a sense we're in the apocalypse, but not from a biblical standpoint, not from a fear standpoint, but from a spiritual growth standpoint. Your totem animal I gave you for the week is the squirrel. I believe the squirrel is all about getting the nut, so I probably, out of the back of my mind, I don't have any of my cards with me for that, but your totem animal spirit's a squirrel, because that's what came into my awareness outside. I'm going to give you the blue lace agate, which is a stone of positivity, right? This is the bloodstone and blue lace agate. The blue lace agate is all about groundingness and positivity. And your number for the week, did I grab my numerology deck? I think I did. Your number for the week, I got my cards here, is going to be patience. And look at that, the number 2. And 2 is all about peace, but we're going to have patience for this. So that's your number for the week. Your crystal blue lace agate, the squirrel is your totem animal spirit, and of course the number 2, which represents peace, which also is talking about be patient. We have to be patient through this, because the more we surrender to the old, the more we become the new. So it's been a pleasure hanging out with you today on Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. I hope that you have a great week ahead. If you missed the live show, come back next Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for another Metaphysical Mocha Mondays, which is inspiration, encouragement, motivations, getting the week started off right, especially with an attitude for gratitude and embracing our spiritual growth for the days, the weeks, the months ahead for what we do. And this will also be uploaded to my YouTube channel, so you can always catch it on my YouTube channel as well later this evening when it uploads right around 6 o'clock. So make sure you get on my YouTube channel, follow me on Instagram under Marc Lainhart or Inspired For Us, the number 4. Also on Twitter, Marc Lainhart or Inspired For Us, which is the radio show Inspired Living Radio. So stay positive out there, stay safe. COVID is going to get a little bit more real for all of us. It's going to increase, it's going to ramp up, which I talked about 2 months ago, that the second wave is more dangerous than the original outbreak. Some don't believe that. That's fine, free will and choice. Some don't believe that this is actually a real pandemic, which is unfortunate, but again, free will and choice, and again, opinions, what I talked about, what opinions are. Everybody has them. They're like eyebrows and elbows, and almost everybody has them, but we know that that's also one of the lowest forms of knowledge is a human being's opinion. So have a positive mind, have a positive life, positive mind, a positive vibe, and a positive life. I'll see you next week for Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. Until our next soul adventure together, be kind, be caring, be compassionate, and stick around here. I will be right back for the Healing Cafe. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Take care. Namaste.